What is happening, everybody? I thought y'all might enjoy the Christmas hats. I'm a creepy guy. Um, so I'm trying a new microphone setup with these guys. Here, hang on. Do not want to hear. Oh, nope, that's my phone. Did I stop it? I think I stopped it. Yeah, I did. I'll be off to bed soon. I'm a bit mangled today. Motorcycle accident. 150 kilometers. No, I hope you feel better. I'm getting stoned while waiting for my date to show up. Ask me anything. Who's your date? What's the social security number? Chappy Fox. That's right. I even trimmed it proper-ish. I don't know. I probably look ridiculous, but whatever. I even have the stuff I put in it now. Well, third, I scooted down the last 4 steps of a stone staircase today in my butt. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. Johnny Depp, the curly days. You're looking fine as fuck. Who, me? Oh, thanks. Um, Ross. Let me see. Who do we got here? We got Ferg. We got Ross. We got Siri. We got Cianta. Oh, that's everybody. Well, welcome everybody. And thank you for the compliment, Siri. We're gonna do some stories. How's the audio sound? Can y'all hear pretty good? Um, what was I looking at? What am I doing? Oh yeah, looking for stories. Um, we're gonna do the no slip. Audio's great. Awesome. Yeah, these and the virus scan were my only Black Friday deals that I purchased. So, oh, that sounds like fun. 2.5 weeks ago, I found a human tooth in my pocket. I don't know how it got there. Oh, oh, she's healthy. Nuts to nuts. Gonna make coffee, Chappy. Let's get creepy. I laid down flat on my stomach in the hallway, right out of pain, and then my dog came in to see what was going on. She stumbled over my arm. that just that snuck out. I I didn't. I'm sorry. It just kind of went, and then your husband comes or whatever, and then he slips, and then like the paramedics come and they slip. I'm sorry. I can't. Sounds like something I do. I have a number of horse teeth, and they end up in weird places. Here's where the AMA gets interesting. Um, Why? Yeah, a lot of text. Hey, Andrea, how you doing? Read further. Mystery Teeth is the creepiest YouTube channel. I don't know if I'm the creepiest, but all right, I'm gonna give this a shot. As long as you're okay. Mein Deutsch Fruden. Fruden? I can't. I tried. I don't know. Jesus, Chappy. Can't to bless us. Oh, Jesus, cat Chappy came to bless us. uh, but my blessings are all like creepy ones. But they're kind of wholesome at the same time. What you do, man. How you do? I have a bunch of bones and oddities and stuff. And a lot of it is in storage right now. Used to have wet specimens too. That sounds disgusting. I'll just keep reading. But they're too difficult to transport when we move. Freuden. Oh, sorry. Freuden. Did I? Yeah, I'm technically okay, but I think I'll have some more fun the next 2 or 3 weeks. So I should coordinate my life from the toilet for the time being. Oh, well, your message was redacted. Try that again. It must have been a really bad word. Amber Dawn Shadow Hair. Hola, welcome to the stream. Did I just get a bunch of pins of wet specimens though? I did just get a bunch of pins. What? Yeah, there's like wholesome? Yeah, wholesome creepy. Like maybe something will haunt your family, but it's because the dad's abusive, and then once the abusive dad goes away, everybody's fine. I don't know, something like that. Or the monster under your bed is actually your dead dog that you've missed for so very long, and right as soon as it gets really creepy, you're like, oh, it's it's Turbo. He just wants to play some more. Ones are picking up pace over here. Door decided to fart too. Hmm. Good luck with that. Chappy, I myself laughed my heads off while lying there on the floor, with the dog getting up, the whole situation just being extremely silly. At the time, at the same time, painful. Yeah, no, I've done that. I It curbs the pain. It's like the pain's like it's real sharp, but like laughing like it just curbs like that much of the pain. I don't know how to explain it. Puppy ghost. Oh, um, so as much as I'd like to keep talking to you guys, well, we can keep talking for a little while. This is fine. I enjoy this. I'm wearing Kevin CC Games T-shirt. I should wear this into a GameStop. So I was supposed to go to work today, but I've been working nights, and I didn't sleep last night. Yeah, yeah, these things. Um, and I totally didn't go to work today, so I have to go to sleep at a good time. Queen Helen Casey, hello, Chappy. Well, hello, Queen Helen Casey. And then we've got Raspberry Red Piano. Hello. Well, you're all moderators now. We'll see how that goes. Finally found a neckbeard at my college, and he's dating a character He made me. That's why I shaved. I'm not. I'm not. I'm no longer a neckbeard. I've never been to one of your streams. What do you look? Would you like to talk about? Well, creepy stuff. And I mean, I'm just catching up right now with everybody. I try to stay close to my peoples because really, I mean, the stream's not just about me. I like to know how everybody's doing. Some of the y'all that got here early saw this, but I'm gonna show this to the rest of y'all. I thought this was funny. Check this out. uh, I don't know. Um, yeah. So generally, we just do some creepy stories or play a video game that I don't think everybody likes. Hey, Helly, how you doing? Love the stash. Yeah, I'm digging it. It's pretty good. Um, I need to get some more stuff on it. Cool. Merry Christmas. You said Xmas, but X is cross, and Mass is whatever. An innocent soul brought me into darkness. Exactly. That's how I feel sometimes. So to some of y'all, this might seem weird, but the rest of you will understand this. But look what I found. I found the Burt's Bees. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna put some Burt's Bees on our lips. Just hang on one second. Mm-hmm. Mmm. Burt's Bees. You know it's Burt's Bees because it's got two little buzzes on them right there. Just buzz. I'm looking at it right now. Is it this one? All right, Ross. I'm I'm pretty sure you said Merry Christmas, so we're just gonna go with that. Feliz Navidad. I know that one. Okay. Oh, the Burt's Bees. Yeah, the Burt's Bees. This just check this art out. This is you know what? I could just drag and drop. Let me see here. Where's it at? Um, y'all probably can't see me that well right now, but that's fine. Check this out. Oh, did it not? Fix that. Open the original, stupid. What's wrong with you? God. Check that out. That is super awesome art. Oh shoot, I just deleted something I probably shouldn't have. Yeah, my alert box, whatever. We don't need that. So now I play with my facial hair. My nose ring doesn't get any play anymore. I'm trying out delinquents. Oh, for your art? No, I dig it. I definitely have a beer with that animal. I don't know if it's a dog or a cat. I just know it's a delinquent. It's 30 degrees. Ooh, Chappy, comb please. I'll go. Okay, hang on one second. Y'all just, I got a comb. No? Think I'm messing around? I got a comb. What's up, man? Oh hell, it's going. Oh, there's my white legs. Super white legs. All right, what do you want? You want this comb, or that's a brush, or this one? The cutest little, my mustache comb. Let's see if I can do this. Oh, when you're busy parting your mustache, you need Celsius. Ew. I'm all about Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit's more technical. That's it. Yeah, there we go. Anyways, I guess I can brush my hair real quick for you guys. My hair's all messy. Ow. Ow. 11, watching only 6 likes. I don't know if this has turned from a creepy YouTube channel to a watching a man with long hair prim himself channel. Combing the lip bangs. Exactly. There we go. Alright. My hair is good. I don't want to lose that. Here we go. Ooh, the ASMR of that comb. Celsius makes more sense on an everyday basis. Not to an American. You know the feeling about tangles in your hair? Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty terrible. Oh, and there's the doggos. If we can get some more barks out of him. Is he wearing earbuds? I am. These things. That's actually my microphone right now. So, neat. Miscellaneous magnets. Que paso? Your hair sounds great. Well, thank you. America. Hell yeah, brother, America. The motherland. Oh. Uh, so, I mean, I figure we're just going to get into some creepy stories if y'all want. I'm probably going to lose viewers. Like, no, I was just here to watch the guy brush his hair. I don't know. I gotta go. Putting up the tree. I'll check it later. Just one letter from Yandere. That's fine. Ooh, a little burpee burp. That looks painful. What looks painful? Alright, post pics later, Heather. Yay, stories. There we go. I always want a bigger septum when I see Chappies. Um, real quick, I took this out for a while, about a few weeks, and the hole shrunk. And it took like 4 days of pain to get this thing to where it doesn't hurt anymore, to get it stretched back out. What happens when you're congested? You just take it out. It's a rain. The buds. The earbuds look painful. No, they're comfortable. They just they sit in this part of the ear. They go in. You can see like that. Yeah, stretching your nose back out kind of sucks. I don't suggest doing it. Where was I at? I slowly stretched my earlobes to double zero gauge, then went slowly back down to regular. Just every time someone saw you, it was different gauge size. Freaky geek, hello all. Hey, freaky geek, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. I don't know, join the party. Where did you get wireless earbuds for the computer? They're actually for my phone, but I got them through Amazon. They're cheap Chinese ones. I mean, I only paid the $35 for them, and they don't sponsor me, so they don't get my support. No, no, it's not a bad. If anybody wants to know, I can post the link. But they're pretty good. I'm pretty happy with them so far. But I got them through Amazon. Just were 12 gauge circular barbells. My my lips a 10 gauge. Let's get into a story. My nose is actually smaller than my lip. It's kind of funny. Hey, Sleek. While doing some research, I heard an unexplainable sound from deep in the ocean. I'm getting some from Wish, $6. Well, right on. I paid 35 for mine. They're normally like 50. Yeah, pretty much. I pick and choose my battles with my parents, and they're literally distraught over my stretching ears, sewing back. No cat's butt on my ears or anything like that. Oh, because the I get it. So this is a nice short one, and it doesn't have that many votes. Oh, well, we'll give it a shot. So here's the link because words are hard. Okay, and we're gonna give this a read. If you like it, please go in there, click the link, and give the author some of your love. I should probably put my link. Hey, I'm reading your story on YouTube. I feel like that'd be a. I'm not gonna do that. It seems like I'm just a big YouTuber doing you a favor. No, they're definitely doing me a favor. Um, so here we go. To preface this, I'm a 4-year student undertaking my own research, brief in marine biology. What I had in mind was to record and identify individual humpback whales by their songs. I had hoped for a better understanding of the population numbers, and more daringly, I was trying to see if the whales had pop songs in much the same way we humans do. I feel my mustache get mixed up. I'll stop. If I was able to prove that certain individuals were more popular because their voice and songs, then we could gain a vastly greater understanding of a whale's behavior. To conduct research, I managed to get funding grant from a rather generous individual who had taken particular interest in my theories, though looking back now, they seemed especially interested in the locations at which I would be recording rather than the whales themselves. In return for the money, I was also given very express instruction that I should try to record 24/7 and send the benefactor all recordings. Now that I had a problem with the arrangement, not that I had a problem with the arrangement, since I needed the funds above anything else. With the investors' money, the equipment I had was state of the art, a microphone capable of picking up the smallest vibrations of sound with an insane depth rating, a high end recording station with both digital and paper recording capabilities that could tell me both depth and approximate location of the sounds, and the best coffee machine money could buy. Probably a crew egg. A blessing considered the time I'd be spending alone. Truthfully, I didn't need such expensive equipment for my own purpose, but I wasn't going to complain. Truthfully, oh wait, no. Oh, let me read that again. Truthfully, I didn't need such expensive equipment for my own purposes, but I wasn't going to complain, even if I did have to send daily reports. The first few days of recordings were relatively uneventful. I heard chattering clicks from dolphins, gruff barks from sea lions, watery static of rain and waves pelting the ocean surface during storms. And on one occasion, I even heard an earthquake, which sounds unbelievably eerie underwater. Trust me. Still, though, whale calls were rare, and if I didn't hear them, they were far off. Quite unusual, really, considering that I was set up freezing my ass off right here in the migration path. As the days turned to weeks, I became increasingly frustrated. The whales weren't coming closer. In fact, quite opposite. They were getting fewer and further between, putting emphasis on the fact that they were moving away. Soon there were days where I couldn't hear the faintest whale song. Talk about annoying. However, that worried me more, or what worried me more, was that with time, the other ocean sounds were slowly falling out of reach as well. Sometimes I would listen to ocean static, no sounds of life whatsoever, and wonder if my equipment was working correctly. Of course, whenever I checked it, it was all fully operational, so I had to rule that out, which meant instead that I had to consider alternate suggestions. Maybe the whales came earlier this year that I missed them. Maybe every other animal was so departing the area early, was also departing the area early. We'll get through this, guys, I promise. Perhaps climate change had risen the sea temperature and thrown off the regular migration paths. There were plenty of possibilities, but none would make my investor happy. Then came the day that something unusual happened. I was listening to the monotonous gurgling of water half asleep late night on an evening with a new sound spiked a reading on my screen. The sound was so faint at first that I actually didn't hear it at all. If not for the adjoining recording equipment, I would have missed it altogether. Upon replaying it, amplified the sound and slowing it down, however, I could hear it. An underwater whisper. It was brief, low in frequency, and strangely eerie. It seemed to echo from somewhere deep in the ocean, deeper than was possible for the area I was in. This made me uncertain. My equipment was definitely malfunctioning, I thought. That is, until a few hours later at 2:06 a.m. when the sound was recorded again. This new recording was longer and clearer, unmistakably something. I just couldn't figure out what. In an attempt to find out what it was, I decided to compare it to other sample sounds. Now, in the software I used, I was lucky enough to have a banquet of sound samples to compare it with. Some were sounds I'd recorded myself of various creatures, and others were more like preset palettes of other noises. I decided to run it against all of them to see what would come up with, and the results weren't at all what I had expected. It took a long amount of time. I had found myself waiting more and more anxiously as the time passed. But then the result began to load. No identifiable match. The green words stood out starkly on my screen. I tried rerunning the comparison, only to get the same results the second time. After that, I didn't hear the anomaly again for several days. But the next time I could hear it, it made me want to abandon my research. I was awake for another late night recording session when the mic started to pick up something. It was too softly to hear initially. I only knew it was there because I saw the detection spike on my screen. Checking the time, I realized it was 2:06 a.m. Chalked to an uncomfortable coincidence, I didn't put much thought into it. Then the sound became more audible. The low droning screech across the ocean from the unidentifiable, hey David, creature that nearly deafened me with the sudden volume change. On paper, the impressions made by the recording machine were spectacular, with lines reaching the limits of the pages, while through the speakers I listened intently as the sound repeated. Its tone changed slightly with each call, as if it were trying to find a way to mimic other wildlife. The low reverberations of a large animal gradually became similar to that of a whale song. In more time, the songs of others began to join it. As I listened, I could tell a single whale approached me when the unidentifiable creature called for it. Then the two animals seemed near, where the sudden burst of water static, then silence. Now, when things collide in the prey-predator interaction underwater, it has little to no sound. They say a shark launches at a seal, at the surface thrashing can be heard, and that was near identical to the sound recorded, only on a far larger scale. What this meant was that something large enough to attack a whale has breached the surface with its prey. As far as known discovery goes, there aren't a lot of animals that can do this. Most certainly none of them that lure in their victims as whatever I heard seemed to. I now believe that my investor knew something like this was out there, as when I mentioned it, they were quick to insist on having the recordings and didn't seem surprised. What keeps me awake at night now is knowing that there is a huge predatory marine animal out there mimicking the sound calls of other species to lure them in. As I lay awake, I can't help but wonder what would happen if it decided to migrate to a more populated area. And most importantly, I do wonder exactly how large it had been to produce such a strong, deep vocalization. I mean, that was pretty good, but I probably need to learn how to read better. Hmm. The series always do really well, but I don't want to read series here. Oh. Hmm. Great story. But thank you. Hey, Scratch and Bow. Never gonna let you down. Sleek. You trying to rickroll me? I'm a janitor for a haunted elementary school. How long is this one? Tinra, it's always awesome having you here. Have a wonderful night. Chappy looking like a pirate. He needs an eye patch and a parrot. I look like something to somebody. I always, I always look like something to somebody. How about I just look like a Chappy? You ever thought of that? Jeez. I mean, with minimal trimming, my hair does this. Like I shaved all this off, but my hair just does this. Like I didn't shave any of this, or there's no hair there. Like sure, if I didn't curl, my mustache would be over my lip, but it just kind of looks like this. No killer Santa stories. I could probably find one, but we're gonna read this one instead. Arg. Arg. Did you know that at first I thought you were talking about yourself? Oh no, no, I'm sorry. I read stories. No, I'm not a marine biologist. I probably have a different YouTube channel than this. It's not a stretch to think that I could be a janitor for an elementary school though. But we're gonna read this one. Oh, I just dropped my phone. How are we doing? Oh, I got one thumbs down. Oh well. Not everybody's gonna like it. You figured it out. Yeah, with my bad reading, you're like, yeah, that's yeah. You're like, he wouldn't tell a story like that. Well, here's this one. Let's continue. I'm a night janitor for an elementary school. My work hours are from 3 p.m. to about midnight. Sometimes I stay until almost 3 when there are after school activities. I have to help set them up and then clean them whenever they are over, leaving me to clock out at almost dawn sometimes. My designated section has 24 rooms that I clean alone. Lately, it's been getting dark rather early. The clock strikes 6, the sun begins to descend into the horizon of swaying trees and half-lit homes eventually disappearing. Around the same time, all the other staff members hurry out of the building, leaving me to my work. I'm going to leave the name of the school, my real name, and others' real names and the location out of this one because I just want to keep my identity and the image of the school is safe. So for this story, I'll be Tim. Since I work nights, I always get that paranoia that I'm being watched. I always chalk it up to my mind playing tricks on me, since I'm all alone in this building for several hours at a night at a time. But it was right after Halloween when something strange began to occur. It was a time of year where trees lose their leaves and take on a skeletal silhouette, autumn. I started to notice that more and more of the students looked as if they were shaken up about something, always looking at the floor when walking, quiet and anxious, signifying a sort of retreat. This didn't sit well with me. The students were dismissed at 3:30, so I'm present while they're still in class. I am the first time father and cared for these children. I may just be a janitor, but I'm not some weirdo or heartless guy who just wants a paycheck. These kids were young and needed to feel safe. So I talked with them when I was given the chance. They called me Mr. Tim, the vacuum man. I'm in my 20s, so I'm approachable to a younger crowd, and I felt this brought a sense of comfort to them, rather than some creepy night janitor who was over or unwelcoming. I saw a child who was walking down the hallway, was obviously frightened about something, constantly looking over his shoulder with his eyebrows raised. I asked quietly, "Is something bothering you, kiddo?" He let out a short yelp. "Whoa, it's okay, it's just me. Is everything all right?" I tried to reassure the boy. "Oh, hey, Mr. Tim, yeah, I'm okay," he said nervously. "You know, if there's something bothering you, don't be afraid to tell me about it. I can probably help you. I'm Mr. Tim, the vacuum man." He laughed when he said it. "Well, yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, whatever. I use the bathroom. I see this tall man smiling at me." I immediately got chills. "What? There's someone in the school? Someone you recognized?" He replied, "No, I can barely see him. He's all black, like a shadow. But I know he's there. I know it." This could have just been a child's imagination. I mean, Halloween just passed. So maybe he was just scared from that. But all the other students were behaving rather odd. So maybe this boy was really seeing someone, or something stalking him in the bathroom. That sounds just like your imagination, kiddo. I wouldn't worry about it. Maybe it's just your mind playing tricks on you since Halloween just passed. Try to focus on your schoolwork more, and maybe it'll go away. I tried to calm him. "Yeah, I'll try," he spoke more softly. "All right, off you go then." This bothered me. There was some pervert hiding in the bathrooms here. My mind began to race. I couldn't just ignore this information. My first thought was to tell the principal. When I did, her reaction was exactly as I imagined. She called the students in her office and asked the child to explain what he had told me. He did sort of frantically and made the principal uneasy. The next day she hired a security guard to patrol the hallways. After about a week the kids still remained anxious, but never spoke of the figure. No one really pried on the matter anyway. We just expected this one to be some sort of scare tactic to make the person flee. If there was anyone there to begin with, it seemed like it worked. So the security guard was dismissed, and the staff reassured their cheerful outlook on their jobs instead of being worried about some creep that may be lurking in the shadows, ready to pounce on a helpless child. I'm just glad this wasn't the case. I remember one particular shift. My calendar read that there was going to be a Cub Scouts meeting in the media center at 6:15 and baseball practice at 6:30. So that meant I would most likely be there before and after the breakdown. At around 6, I unlocked one of the front doors for the Cub Scouts counselor and the coach for the basketball team. Moments passed, but the Cub Scouts counselor walked through the door. I greeted him, helped him set up, and went back to my normal duties. I didn't have to help the coach since the gym had everything he needed for sports. I just had to lock the doors once they were done and refinished the gym floor for all the shoe marks and any trash on the ground. As far as the Cub Scouts meeting, it was the same concept. Just had to vacuum around the used area and disinfect any surfaces used along with throwing any trash left along any trash left behind away. During my normal shift duties, I couldn't help but feel as if I was being watched. I kept telling myself that it could be the students or parents watching me from a distance, but it was in a more scheduled area of the building. Oh, secluded. It was a more secluded area of the building, away from the school after activities. This was different. It felt like someone was nearby. You know how you can hear someone coming from around the corner without hearing their footsteps or physically seeing them? It was just like that, only all around me. Once the after school activities came to an end around 8, I made sure every person was out of the building and locked the doors. The front doors had windows on them, and it was pitch black outside. Once I finished engaging the last lock, I couldn't help but notice a tall, dark, clothed man behind me in the reflection. I quickly turned around, only to see that no one was there. What the hell, I thought to myself. I sighed and continued with my duties. I started with the gym floor and began buffing the floors. This was the job that took most time, so I wanted to get it done first. As I finished, I turned the machine off, and in the distance, I could hear muffled screams. It came from the building. Okay, something isn't right here, I exclaimed. I got all of the equipment into the receiving room and left the floor to dry, and I could still hear the faint sounds of screaming. It was coming from my section and still had rooms to do. I decided to put on some headphones and listen to music so I could ignore the strange occurrence. I decided to put on classical music as it helped me calm my nerves. I started with Moonlight Sonata, a piece from Beethoven, and just let my playlist shuffle. When I clean rooms, I normally just focus on what's in front of me, but tonight I couldn't help but look around me, as if I were to see the man in the corner somewhere. I tried my best to ignore it, but when I got to a part of the room located by a window, I felt compelled to look outside. All I could see was total darkness, pitch black, not a street light. No dim and distant lights from the home, just darkness. and then the power went out. I was absolutely terrified. What I saw outside will haunt me for the rest of my life. It was the most sinister, elongated face I have ever seen. His eyes sunk in wide and focused, wrinkled skin with white complexion, the most menacing smile I could ever imagine, complete with what seemed to be over 100 teeth that looked like needles. I wasted no time and ran out of the building without even clocking out or looking back. I ran outside to my vehicle without looking over my shoulder to see if that thing was following me. And then I started my car and drove out of the parking lot. To the left of me in the playground, I could see him watching me. He was waving. The next day, my supervisor was furious as I left without clocking out or calling security to lock the doors. I explained what happened and he fired me. One day, on my own accord, I went to that school and wanted to warn the principal about what had happened to me. I met with her and told her to hire an exorcist or get someone to clean the school out spiritually because there was something evil in that school. She replied, "Tim, I don't understand. What happened?" I told her everything. How this tall man scared the living shit out of me. How I heard screams. Everything. Her mood changed. She seemed uneasy. She let out a long breath and began to say, "There's something that I want to show you." She went to a filing cabinet and opened it, sifting through files and finally pulled out a book. It was a yearbook from 1986. "What's that for?" I asked. She then flipped through some pages and finally stopped on a page that had a picture with descriptions under them. She pointed out to one and said, "Here, take a look." What I saw was a tall man mopping the floor with this smile that I will never forget. It was the man I saw that night. It had to be. "Oh my God," I said while shivering. He was the janitor here from 1984 to 1986, I was told. That he would go into the bathroom and spy on the kids, smiling at them. My heart sank, and I let out a whimpering cough, trying to clear my throat, which was now a gasp for air. "What happened to him?" I asked. She closed the book and looked at me and said, "Aside from the spying, he got fired for constantly scaring the children even after Halloween was over. He would make them scream in terror. Those were the screams I heard. After he got fired, he would stalk the students. They would go missing. At first, no one thought of it, but a detective brought him in for questioning. He was then arrested and admitted that he raped and killed 15 children. The detective claimed that he was smiling when he confessed. He was giving the death penalty by lethal injection. He was also smiling as he died." Stop picking. I wish I could. My face is like a fidget toy. I'm like, I can't help it. So that's a fun one. How's everybody doing out there? Looks like we lost some people. Let me take these things out. Hmm. Oh, I've got top ones now. Tom is streaming, and I told him to wait for you. Oh yeah? What's Tom streaming? Let me see. Let me go to the YouTube real quick. Oh, Half-Life Part 2. Yeah. Oh well. He went off on a happy little rant about scheduling and YouTube friends streaming. Pulling stuff. Putting stuff on my USB. What are you talking about, Sianta? About other people that he knows streaming at the same time he wants to? I mean, I really only stream like once or twice a week now. Whatever. What are we looking for? Graveyard shift. He's playing Half Life. Why are 25 people watching him play Half Life? Oh well. It's a good game. I still love Tom. Yeah, when I said you were streaming, he said some stuff about how there's no real schedule. Yeah, there's not. It's fine. I'll take my a few little viewers. Unfortunately, y'all can't stream after each other. LOL. Need a stream TV guide. Yeah. Oh, that's a healthy one. Yeah. Y'all want a fun one? This one's called If You're Armed and at Glenmount Metro, please shoot me. Ooh. It's a healthy one, so I gotta get ready. Make it a headshot. Shoot me in the temple, aiming slightly downwards. I need a bullet to travel the shortest possible distance through my brain before it hits my hippocampus. Hippocampus. If I'm lucky, the sensation of the gunshot ripping through my skull will only last a few decades. As awful as this sounds, you'll be doing me an enormous favor. Death by a headshot. As soon as possible is vastly better than the alternative. My ordeal started over 10,000 years ago. At 10:15 this morning, I earned extra money by participating in a drug trial. I'm a so-called healthy subject who takes experimental drugs to help aside or ask go to sleep. I'm not going to go to sleep. To help assess side effects. Once it was a kidney drug. A few times it's been something for blood pressure or cholesterol. This morning they told me the drug was a psychoactive substance intended to accelerate brain function. None of the drugs I had tested so far ever done anything for me in the recreational sense. In other words, none of the drugs I've tested have given me a killer buzz or mellowed me out or anything. Maybe I've always ended up with a placebo group, but nothing I've tested had an effect on me at all. Today's drug was different. This shit worked. They gave me a pill at 10:15 and told me to hang out in the waiting room until they called me back for some tests. Only about 30 minutes, the research assistant told me. I flopped onto the couch in the waiting room and read a few articles from a copy of Psychology Today that was sitting on the coffee table. They hadn't called me back when I finished the Psychology Today, so I picked up the US News and read it cover to cover. Then I read the old Scientific American. What was taking them so damn long? I sluggishly turned my head to look at the wall clock. It was only 10:23 a.m. I had read all 3 magazines in 8 minutes. I remember thinking this was going to be a long day. I was right. The waiting room had a little bookshelf with some used hardcovers on it. When I stood up to walk to the bookshelf, it felt like my legs barely worked. It's not that they were weak, they were just slow. It took a full minute just to stand up out of the couch, and another minute to take 2 steps to the bookcase. I scanned the books on the shelf and picked up a copy of Moby Dick. My arms, that had been the problem, same as my legs, just reached out 1 foot in front of me to grab the book. It took a long time. I actually got bored just waiting for my hand to reach the spine of the book. I slogged back to the couch and collapsed onto it in slow motion, in a fall that reminded me of low gravity hops of astronauts on the moon. I opened Moby Dick slowly and began reading. I started with Call Me Ishmael, got as far as Ahab throwing his pipe into the sea, which was all the way to friggin' chapter 30 before they called me back. How are you feeling? The research assistant asked me. I feel slow, I said. Actually, it's the other way around. Everything seems slow because you're so fast. But my legs, my arms, they're moving in slow motion. Your body will seem like it's in slow motion because your brain is fast. Your brain is running 10 or 20 times faster than normal. You are thinking and perceiving reality at an accelerated pace, but your body is still constrained by the laws of biomechanics. Frankly, you're moving much faster than a normal human person, she pantomimed, by a jogging motion. But your brain is running so much faster right now that even your fast walk seems very slow to you. I thought about my slow motion flop onto the waiting room couch. Even my muscles had slowed down. My body would still react to gravity the same way. But in the waiting room, I even fell in slow motion. Slow muscles couldn't explain why gravity seemed weaker. My brain was going to at warp 10. That's how I managed to read 3 magazines and the first 30 chapters of Moby Dick in 15 minutes. They ran a series of tests on me. The physical tests were fun. They made me juggle 3 balls, then 4, then 6. I had no problem keeping 6 balls in the air because they seemed to be moving so slowly. It was boring, frankly, waiting for each ball to move through the arc so I could catch it with my slow motion hands and toss it back into the air. They threw Cheerios in the air and I caught them with chopsticks. They dropped a handful of coins and I counted the total value before they hit the ground. The cognitive tests were less fun, but very illuminating. Finished a 15 word search, 50, I'm sorry, a 50 word search in 3 seconds. Solve an intricate maze drawn into the poster size paper, 2 seconds. View a slideshow projected at 10 times a second and answer detailed questions about what I saw. 95% correct. They told me I measured over 250 on the Knopf scale. Apparently, that's deep into the superhuman range of thinking speeds. They then sent me home. It'll wear off in a few hours, they said, which will seem like days to you. Try to use the residual effects to get some work done. Catch up with work emails while you're still high speed mode. The ride home was horrible. It was only 3 metro stops, and in the real world time, it only took about 35 minutes. But in my drug accelerated hyper time, it felt like days. Days! I just walked out of the medical research suite to the elevator, which seemed like it took an hour. I sprinted out of the office, willing my legs to push me faster, but the laws of biomechanics held me prisoner. As I accelerated, my brain was. I couldn't do anything to make my legs work faster. The huge disconnect between my body and mind made me extremely difficult to judge how and when to slow down, turn, or rotate my body. I had basically turned into a giant slow motion spaz. I misjudged my speed and rammed into the wall by the elevator button at a pretty good speed, even though I could see the wall coming at me. I couldn't make my finger outstretched to hit the elevator button move away fast enough, and I jammed it against the wall hard. Ow! The pain was intense. If my brain had been running at regular speed, it probably would have only hurt for 30 seconds or so. But in my accelerated state, the intense pain seemed to last for an hour and a half. 45 minutes, maybe. Elevator ride was horrible. It felt like I spent 4 or 5 hours just descending 7 floors, with nothing to look at but the interior of the elevator car. I sprinted to the metro station. I have to admit this part was almost fun. Even though my body moved at what seemed to me super slow speed, I could still carefully choose how and where to place my feet, swing my arms, and turn my torso. It only took a block or two getting used to my brain that ran 2 dozen times faster than my body. When I basically sprint danced the rest of the way, twisting and judging between people on the sidewalk and dodging moving cars with inches, aka minutes, of clearance. I spent an hour in my time frame descending into the subway and running to the platform. Endless tedium waiting the 6 minutes for the red line train to arrive. Hey, Mikey. Wait, where are we at? Endless tedium waiting for the 6 minutes for the red line train to arrive. Although there was more to look at on the metro station platform than inside the elevator, it was still intensely boring. I should have stolen the copy of Moby Dick. The red line train roared into the station in slow motion. The normally the high pitched squeal of the brakes was frequency shifted by my high speed mind to a low tone, like a monotone tuba solo. It was just the sequel or the squealing of the train that was 3 octaves lower than normal. All other sound was slowed to the point near inaudibility. Voices were gone, shifted below the threshold frequency of my hearing. I did manage to hear a screaming baby on the subway car. Her shrieks slowed down like a whale's songs. Sharp sounds like a car horns and trucks bouncing over potholes were low. Muddied roars like a distant thunder. Back at the research offices, I could still hear and communicate with the research staff, but now verbal communication with anyone would be impossible. The effects of the drug were still intensifying. I spent what seemed like days on that fucking red line train. Days listening to the wail song of a screaming baby and the tuba solo of the brakes, where ordinary voices were frequency shifted out of my audible range. Smells didn't seem to be affected. I never became nose blind to body odor, the stench of train brakes, the smell of farts and other smells wafting through the metro car. I finally got back to my apartment, sprinting all the way through the open door into the front hall at full speed. It was the front hall at full speed, like a slow, relaxing drift down a lazy river. I was relieved to be at home. At least I could do stuff there. I picked up the book I was reading, 100 Years of Solitude, and finished it, despite turning the pages so quickly that I tore them. It seemed like most of the time I spent finishing the book was spent on page turning and not actually reading. 3 minutes had passed since I got home. I tried surfing the internet. My God, it takes a long time for computers to boot these days. But it was too. Wait, no, it doesn't. My God, it takes a long time for computers to boot these days. Like, whatever. It was too frustratingly slow. Hours seemingly to load each new page, and a fraction of a second to read it. 100 articles in my news feed read in just 3 minutes. I dipped into my pile of yet to be read books and finished two more. 4 minutes had passed. I decided to try to sleep off the remaining effects of the drug. Unfortunately, whatever part of my mind is responsible for perception, the part that's been accelerated to hyperspeeds by the drug, isn't the same as the part that governs sleep. Despite being awake for what perceived as days, my physical brain still thought it was 1:25. I was not ready for sleep. Nevertheless, I tried. I walked to my bedroom, a slow 45-minute drift through my apartment, and flung myself into the bed, lazily falling like a feather into the mattress. I closed my eyes and lay there for hours and hours. 10 minutes of reality. Before giving up, sleep would not come. I was facing what was going to feel like days or even weeks of being trapped in slow motion prison. So I took an Ambien. The sense of the pill and the splash of water I used to swallow it sliding down my throat was sickening. A lump that blocked my breathing, moving like a slug down my esophagus. I read a book. 10 minutes had passed, and I read another one. 18 minutes since I took another Ambien. I threw the book across my room in disgust at my situation. My book slowly pirouetted and spun through the air, like a leaf blowing in the breeze. It hit the wall with a long, faint rumble, the only sound I had for what seemed like hours, then drifted on the floor like a flip-flop sinking in a swimming pool. The force of gravity hadn't changed since I took the pill. The law of physics were the same. It was just my perception of time that had gone wackadoo. This meant I could use the speed things seemed to fall at as a way of judging the side effects of the drug. Based on how long it took for the book to drift to the floor, I estimated the effects of the drug were still intensifying. I read a magazine. I turned on the television. I clearly saw each frame of video like I was watching a slideshow. Frustrated, I turned the television off. I read some more. The first two books of Churchill's History of an English-Speaking Peoples. Not exactly a light read. Frankly, I hated it. Hey, Julie. But given the hours of tedium it would take to let go of another book and get another book from my bookshelf, was sitting on the couch reading Churchill was better, or at least less worse. It had been 35 minutes now since I took the Ambien. I lay down on the couch, closed my eyes. Time passed. I inhaled an hours long process. I exhaled for more hours. Sleep would not come. I needed a new plan. I decided to go back to the office where they gave me the drug. Maybe they would have something that could counteract the effects, or at least something to knock me out until it wore off. I exited my apartment as fast as possible, taking hours in my time frame to do so. It didn't even bother locking the door. It would have taken too long. Down the stairs, it's faster than the elevator if you run. Through the lobby, out the front door and into the street. These few things felt like a long day at the office. Sprinting down the street, dancing and weaving between pedestrians within what must have looked to them like superhuman dexterity. Down the first flight of stairs at the metro, across the landing, another hour, and then on to the second flight of stairs. That's when the Ambien hit me. The Ambien didn't make me sleepy. Not at all. Instead, it must have had a severe cross reaction with the experimental drug that I took this morning. I was bounding down the second flight of stairs, moving in slow motion, but still making perceivable progress. Then wham! Everything stopped. The dull roar of the street and metro noise ceased, replaced by the most perfect silence I've ever experienced. My downwards motion seemed to completely freeze. Before the ambient kicked in, my perception of time was maybe a few hundred times slower than real time. After the ambient, time moved thousands of times slower. Every second seemed like days to me. Even just moving my eyes to focus on a new point was like an impossibly slow scroll across my visual field. Over the course of the afternoon, I learned how to walk, run, and jump when my mind ran hundreds of times faster than my body. But with another 4 or 5 hours of magnitude of slowed down caused by the ambient, my body control was almost impossible. I fell on the stairs even though I was all but frozen in mid step. Controlling my muscles was impossible. I commanded my foot forwards for hours, then backwards for hours more when it seemed like I would miss the next step. Hours attempting to adjust the angle of my ankle, then readjusting when it felt wrong. Despite these efforts, I rolled my ankle on the next step. The pain wasn't all mitigated by the slowness. Hours of increasing strain on the bent ankle. The nerve signals that sent the pain to my brain must have worked differently than the nerves in my ear. Sonic energy was spreading all over time, diluted until it was imperceivable. Pain flowed into my brain, diluted by the change in my perception of time. Hours and hours of increasingly weight on my turned ankle turned into hours of increased pain upon increasing pain. I pitched forward as my high speed mind, completely unable to control my low speed body. I drifted downwards for days, managed to rotate my torso enough to keep my head from impacting the ground first. I eventually landed on my right shoulder. At first, the impact wasn't even noticeable. Then I felt a slight pressure on my shoulder as it came in contact with the ground. The pressure grew, bringing increased pain for hours upon hours. My shoulder finally gave out, popping out of its socket with an endless, sickening tug. I came to stop days later, crumpled on the ground, staring at the ceiling. The pain in my shoulder still screaming with the intensity of a fresh, violent injury. Hey, Holly. I had plenty of time to think during that fall. If every second seemed like days to me, then each minute of real world time would seem like years. Even if the drug cleared out of my system in time for the next 2 or 3 hours, this nightmare would seem to last centuries. By the time I hit the ground, I had a plan. I would somehow get to the platform and throw myself in front of the train. I twisted onto my hands and knees, days of my dislocated shoulder crying for relief. I misjudged my rotation and rolled on my back. I tried again, collapsing into my face as I tried to figure out how to control my body that moved slower than grass grew. Weeks of effort were finally rewarded with success. I stabilized on my hands and knees. If just getting on all fours was this difficult, I figured that walking or running was completely out of the question. So I crawled. I crawled through the metro tunnel. The dumb looks on the faces in the crowd lingered on me for weeks. I crawled under the turnstile and onto the escalator. The escalator spilled the rush hour crowd onto the platform at the same speed a glacier spills into the sea. I looked out over the crowd platform during my interminable downward ride. The train status signs said that the train wouldn't arrive for 20 minutes. 20 minutes was like a year to me. I'd have to spend a year on the metro platform wanting to die. I crawled off the escalator, enduring days of stupid expressions on the commuters' faces. I crawled a few feet to a concrete bench and curled up next to it, trying to find a position to lessen the pain in my shoulder. Then my problem of time got worse, impossibly worse. The massive slowdown on the stairs was just the beginning of the interaction between the experimental drugs and the Ambien. It fully hit me while I was curled up on the bench. I blinked. Years of darkness followed. Sound was already gone, and with my blink, sight was gone as well. All that existed was a pain from my fall. My hyper-accelerated mind wasted no time compensating for the lack of sensory input. Voices spoke to me. They sung to me in languages that never existed. Patterns and faces and colors came and went in my mind's eye. I recalled my whole life and imagined living another. I forgot English. I settled into a profound despair. I spoke to God. I became God. I imagined a new universe and brought it to life with my thoughts. Then I did it all again and again. My eyes opened with geologic slowness, a faint glow, weeks, a slit of light, weeks, a narrowed view of a metro platform, ankles of commuters near me, and the advertisements on the wall. I extracted my phone from the pocket, a pocket that spanned decades. How can I even explain the boredom? The pain in my shoulder is nothing compared to the boredom. Every thought I can think, I have ever thought hundreds of times already. The view of ankles and advertisements never changes. Never. The boredom is so intense it's tangible. Like a solid object of metal and stone wedged into my skull. Inescapable. What are my options? If I crawl and fall into the tracks with an oncoming train to crush me, I won't die. I'll experience even more pain from about a 4-foot fall, but I'll most likely be rescued by some do-gooder on the platform and unable to act when the train finally does arrive. My suffering in the scenario would be endless. I lived hundreds of lifespans at the foot of this bench. I'm far older in spirit than any human who has ever lived. Most of my life experience has been a snapshot of pain, huddled on the floor of a subway platform, with an unchanging view of ankles and advertisements. This post is my plan B, my Hail Mary, my long shot. I've spent a lifetime typing out and posting this message in the hopes that someone will read it and become convinced that my suffering must end. Someone on this platform right now, someone who will find a man curled under a bench, a man who crawled down the escalator and killed himself as swiftly as possible. A bullet to the temple. If you're armed and at Glenmont Metro, please shoot me. I would love to find spelling errors or um, grammatical errors in this post because then that means they spent centuries with that. I need to get a new juice. This one's terrible. Oh, it's 9 o'clock. Well, kiddies, it's 9 o'clock. Oh, I need to get food. Damn. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go get food. Why grammar police? Because the story, it took him centuries to write it. In his mind, it took him so long, so long, farewell. Oh shoot, I don't remember the song. Alvider's saying goodbye. Hmm. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna get me some McDonald's or Burger King. Burger King kind of sounds good. I don't know. Old juice, need new juice. Oh, it's new juice. It just doesn't taste as good. Don't go, Chappy. Well, I got to be up at 6 in the morning, and it's 9 p.m. now, and I'm not missing work again because my boss he seemed disappointed that I wouldn't be at work. And then since he likes to micromanage, he sent me a text. Well, thank you, Queen Helen Casey. If any of you guys are new viewers and you're not subscribed, I would appreciate it. Oh, the Roadhouse King, Neil. BK, 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 BK. I don't know if they have that, but if they do, I'll get it. I'll try it. Um, that story was long. Yeah, it was supposed to be. Um, yeah, you're all gonna go to Tom's stream. Be like, screw you, Tom. You should have had everybody come to my stream. Had all the subscribers subscribe to me. Yeah, make everybody subscribe to me at Tom's stream. It's a good idea. I don't know. But you know I love you guys. Um, I'll I might stream again tomorrow. Might do some more stories tomorrow. But until then, you stay creepy. I love you all. And bye.